Okay, let's be real for a second. Have you ever been out at a cafe and you see someone, usually a girl in a trench coat or a guy with a very specific book, setting up their phone against a sugar shaker? They press record, walk out of the frame, and then walk back in looking thoughtful while staring at a croissant. We've all seen it. We might have even done it. We call it main character syndrome. It's a joke, right? We're just romanticizing our lives. But I've been thinking, why are we all acting like we're in a movie that nobody's actually watching? Why does it feel like if we don't document the aesthetic version of our lunch, the lunch didn't actually happen? Today, I want to talk about the psychology of this mask we're all wearing. We're going to talk about the science of narcissism, a dead French philosopher who predicted TikTok in the 60s, and the moment we stopped living our lives and started representing them. So let's look at the brain side of this. In psychology, there's this thing called the NPI, the Narcissistic Personality Inventory. Now, don't worry, having main character syndrome doesn't mean you're a clinical narcissist, but it does mean you're leaning into something called exhibitionism. In the past, if you wanted an audience, you had to be an actor or a politician. Now, you just need a data plan. There's this wild thing called the Truman Show delusion. It's a genuine psychological condition where people believe their entire life is a reality show. While most of us aren't actually delusional, we have adopted a light version of it. We view our friends as supporting cast members and our coworkers as NPCs, non-player characters. The reality check? Think about those influencer in the wild videos. Remember the ones of people taking thirst traps at the Holocaust Memorial or at the edge of a literal forest fire? To us, it's criggy or even offensive, but to the main character, that tragedy isn't a tragedy, it's just good lighting. It's a backdrop for their arc. When you start seeing the world as a movie set, you stop seeing people as humans. This is where it gets heavy, so stay with me. Back in 1967, this French guy named Guy Debord wrote a book called The Society of the Spectacle. He had this theory that society moves in stages. First, we were about being, just existing, eating, surviving. Then we moved to having. I am defined by the stuff I own. But now, Debord says, we are in the stage of appearing. He said, all that once was directly lived has become mere representation. Think about the last concert you went to. Look at the crowd. Half the people aren't watching the singer with their eyes. They're watching them through a 6-inch glowing rectangle. They aren't being at a concert. They are appearing to be at a concert for their followers. The spectacle is like a map that gets so big and so detailed that it eventually replaces the actual ground you're standing on. We don't want the experience anymore. We want the proof of the experience. We aren't just selling products, guys. We are selling ourselves as the product. When you curate your grid, you're essentially splitting yourself in two. There's the real you, who's probably in sweatpants, stressed about rent, and the spectacular you, who only drinks oat milk lattes in perfect sunlight. The problem is, the real you starts becoming a slave to the spectacular you. You go on vacation not to rest, but to get the shot. The real-life event? Look at Fyre Festival. That is the ultimate main character tragedy. Thousands of people paid 5 figures to go to a private island because they saw a bright orange square on Instagram. They weren't buying music, they were buying the image of being the kind of person who goes to Fyre Festival. And when they got there, no villas, no models, just rain, emergency tents, and cold cheese sandwiches. Reality crashed the party, and because it wasn't aesthetic, they didn't know how to handle it. Here's the part that actually scares me. If I'm the main character of the world, then you are just a prop. This is why we see people being so incredibly rude in public lately, blocking an entire sidewalk to film a dance, screaming at a flight attendant because they didn't follow the script of the day. When we live in the spectacle, we lose empathy, because in a movie, the extras don't have feelings. They don't have kids or toothaches or dreams. They just fill the space. If we keep treating life like a movie, we're going to end up in a world full of stars and 0 human beings. So how do we fix it? How do we take the mask off? It's actually pretty simple, but it's hard to do. Do something that you can't record. Go for a walk and leave your phone at home. Have a conversation that's so good you forgot to take a picture of the table. Realize that being an extra in someone else's life is actually a beautiful thing. It means you're part of a community, not a solo act. The world is not a stage, and you don't have to perform. You can just be. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me rant. This is something I've been feeling a lot lately, and I wanted to share it with you guys. If this hit home, or if you've got a story about a main character moment you've witnessed, drop it in the comments. Let's keep the conversation real. I'll see you in the next one.